Good morning, Vietnam! So, we got a new chapter. This one is actually finally starting up something, a question I've been asking for, as I have learned, 18 years ago. So, buckle your seats, update my bingo card, because we are finally getting into Brook's backstory. Hello, Internet. I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1183, Good Morn Maid. The art this week is this lovely piece of the Straw Hat crew being blasted into the air, sort of like a knock-up stream, alongside a baby elephant, as what I assume is the baby elephant's parent, blasting with their trunk to launch them all in the air. I know I tend to focus on Robin a lot, so I'm going to do that again. The hat that Robin is wearing, I don't know why, but I absolutely love that style of hat. I could never rock it myself, but I think it is a very cute type of hat. So the fact that Oda put it on there, it's not like Oda knows me, but man, Robin just looks good in anything. So, backing away from that, let's get into the actual chapter itself. Loki and Emu are still going at it. They're just blasting each other. There's really not much more to say about it. Emu is still kind of trapped in the past, but still talking about the present. He does say, though, and I'm going to check the name real quick. So I hope you love it when Oda just introduces the name of a character we've never heard of and then continues on like nothing happened, because during his fight with Loki, Emu says, "Loki, Straw Hat Luffy, it seems that neither of you can be forced into my servitude. I cannot control you, so I must destroy you. Just like Dozen." And then he whips out a big, huge attack, and Loki whips out a big, huge attack, and the two of them slam into each other, and that's where we are at for that moment. So, who's Dozen? Don't know. Probably going to see him in the Void Century flashback, because alongside Nidog and Nika, there must have been a third individual that that Emu couldn't control. Could that be the previous user of the human fruit model Zaza? Could that be the previous forest god or the previous earth god? Who knows? But that's really all the information we get, is just another name drop. On the note of Zaza, we do briefly cut to the water monster grabbing all the children, and we see the parents all getting up. They're ready to protect their children. Chopper has this trauma moment where he's telling Ripley, "No, you guys, you all have to stay down or else your wounds are going to open up, and I need to do blood transfusions." And Ripley tells him, "My life means nothing if my child is ripped away from me." And that's such a heartfelt moment. I'm looking forward to crying when that happens in the anime. So that'll be fun. I think we'll probably get that episode, I want to say, in 2028, given that we're going by a seasonal system, maybe late 2027. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to play out, because they seem to be doing every chapter gets an episode now. So we're only going to get like 26 chapters covered, and we get about 40 chapters a year. So the manga is officially moving faster than the anime is. But the benefit is we won't get any more filler episodes, or, we won't get any more filler arcs, which I guess it depends on your opinion on the filler arcs. Personally, I really thought the One Piece fillers were kind of cool, especially some of the more creative ones. But for those of you who don't like filler, congratulations. We're going to get some extended fight scenes and really cool animation out of the deal. But now it's time for the meat and potatoes of this and a bunch of future chapters, as we cut to a giant ice cube. And in that ice cube is Gunko. At least I want to say Gunko, because now I want to say Shuri. But I don't know who this person is anymore. And unfortunately, neither does Brook. We actually see Nami, Jinbei, and Usopp still on the ground alongside Brook, as they're all kind of asking him to make a call here. Usopp says, Brook, the only reason I went with you is because of how freaked out you looked. So, who is this person? And Brook tells him, I don't know anymore, guys. I know. It's all moving so fast, and I'm sorry, but if she's who I think she is, she would have to be 77 years old. And Nami's like, well, then obviously it's not that person. And Brook goes, but that's the thing. If she is that person, I mean, we've been watching people turn into demons left and right today. What couldn't be real right now? And Jinbei, being the pragmatic one, tells him, okay, Brook, if this person is friend or foe, we need to know, because her life is literally in your hands right now. None of us can make a move until you make a call, because you clearly know her, and we're kind of a team here. And that's something I like about the Straw Hat crew, is there isn't exactly a chain of command. It's more situation based. You know, if it's navigation based, Nami has final say. If it's something to do with poneglyphs, Robin has final say. If it's something to do with what you're eating, Sanji has final say, except for in the case of Luffy. The Luffy clause allows him to skip over anyone in food-related matters. If it's about fighting someone, it's kind of free-for-all style, depending on who's important to who. And in this case, Gunko, Shuri, this is all up to Brook. And that's when Brook starts to tell us a story. 70 years ago, in the kingdom of Asperia, a kingdom that doesn't exist anymore. So we're finally having a flashback. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who just tuned in to One Piece in general, 18 years ago, I looked it up, 18 years ago in 2008, Brook joined the Straw Hat crew in the chapter release of February 25th. The only reason I know the exact date is because I just looked it up before making this video. But on that day, Brook joined the Straw Hat crew, and he told Luffy, when I was a young man, I was the captain of a battle convoy in a kingdom in the East Blue. Or not East Blue, West Blue. Then I became a notorious pirate, captain of the Rumbar Pirates with a bounty of 33 million berries on my head. Then I died. And when I came back from being dead, I swore that my second life would be to follow you as my next captain, Straw Hat Luffy. And I said, wow, what a cool chapter. Well, actually, I was watching the anime at the time. It was around Marineford that I actually started reading the manga because I ran out of anime to watch. But I said, wow, what an amazing and cool story, Brook. Sure do look forward to hearing about that battle convoy you were a part of. That chapter is old enough to vote now. So we cut to 70 years ago in the long since gone kingdom of Asperia, where it is 4 o'clock in the morning and Brook is waking up the entire kingdom with a loud morning song about how he would love to be whisked away by a mermaid, and it would be a wonderful day, it would be a wonderful morning, it'd be a wonderful morn maid, as I would sail along the seas with her. And as he's running through the kingdom playing his music, he says, hey, people in the bars, how you doing? And they say, we have a hangover, Brooks, go away. And Brook says, hey, how you doing, people in the harbor? And they say, Brook, I'm gonna get my gun. And Brook says, it's so wonderful to see everybody awake in the morning, nice, bright and early. As a bunch of people, honestly, it feels akin to Usopp, actually, where back in his village, Usopp was the alarm clock. In fact, after Usopp left his village to go be a pirate, the next day, some people actually forgot to wake up that morning. Some ran late to work. It also is reminiscent of when Brook was a member of the Rumbar Pirates, and he woke up the crew as the ship's musician. So apparently, I don't know, Brook's just had a long history of waking people up at the crack of dawn. I'm starting to wonder how many times he might have done that to the Straw Hat crew. But as Brook finishes making his morning rounds, he is walking past the members of the battle convoy, or I guess some maybe Knights of the Kingdom. It's not really fully clear right now. We learn Brook isn't a member of the battle convoy right now. He's like a member of Let me look up the exact word for it. Yes, he is a member of the Raider Squad, as we'll learn later. But as he's walking through, these other knights come up to him and they ask him, hey, Brook, can you please teach us your humming arrow notch slash, your amazing sword technique? Why do you keep spending all your time teaching the princess? It's not fair, Brook. You should be teaching us. And Brook says, hey, you guys get better at it, and then I will teach you. Because right now, you guys aren't at that level. So Brook goes for a walk, and he ends up walking right next to our little Princess Shuri at age 7. So yes, as Brook said, she should be 77 by now. Well, little Shuri looks just like Gunko. She's got the two-toned eyes, and she's got the, I assume, blue hair. It's kind of hard to tell in a black and white manga. And she's got a little drip out of her nose, because that's something that's very common in Japanese media, of having like a kid with a little drop of snot coming out of their nose. And she and Brook, they start singing about what they're going to have for lunch and dinner, and singing about Bink Sake, because remember, Brook did sing this song with her because he did have a dream of being a pirate. And as they are walking together, they run into the king, who is, let me just make sure I have the name correctly. I didn't write down the name. Oh, there it is. I did write it down. So, King Raven, which I will admit, I didn't get the pun, so I did kind of look it up. Apparently, it's sort of an abbreviated pun of Beethoven's first name, Ludwig, which makes sense because Asperia, as we learn, is the kingdom of instrument makers. So I assume instruments are the main export. Music is a very important thing. There's an opera house here. It's definitely a musical world that Brook lives in, which kind of reminds me of a different kingdom. Hang on, I know this is the third time, but I have to look something up real quick. Okay, I just had to double check. No, Elegia is the kingdom, the island that Uta summoned Taught Musica on during One Piece film Red. So that's completely different location. I almost had a moment of like, okay, Land of Music doesn't exist anymore. Is this how this is tied together? But no. It's probably a much more long ago event, especially since Brook knows that the kingdom no longer exists. We also know that the king does get killed by Gunko if Shuri is no longer Shuri at the time. I will say Brook does mention it's almost like it's 3 different people he's looking at, because he's seen Shuri as the little girl that he knew. He has seen Gunko, this woman that Imu is controlling, and then finally whatever was happening with Shuri all that time ago. So I'm not even sure what's happening with that. But anyways, so that's the king. He's kind of a scruffy looking dude. Him and Brook have this very king and court jester kind of relationship going on, because as he's, snipping his bushes, he's trimming the hedges. This is just something he does as the king, I guess, for fun. And he tells Brook, hey, are you making moves on my wife? And Shuri's like, yeah, Brook's in love with Mama. And Brook's like, oh, I mean, I do, but like, I would never step on your toes, boss. Like, that's not the kind of guy I am. And he goes, I'll have you put in a dungeon, Brook. And Brook's like, buddy, pal. So they seem to have this, I want to say it's a good relationship. It does seem like the gruff dude and the witty best friend. It's a very common friendship quote. In fact, I would say one of my best friends is probably the Brook to my Reuven. I'm a very straight man in a lot of my relationships. But it's another cute scene where she looks up at Brook and Shuri says, oh, don't worry, Brook, forget about Mama. When I'm all grown up, you can marry me. And the king goes, Shuri, you're supposed to say that to your dad, to make me say, aw. You're not supposed to say that to Brook. And Brook goes, don't worry about it, your majesty. I wouldn't marry a woman with snot coming out of her nose. And the king goes, Brook, how dare you? I'll have you executed. How dare you deny my daughter in front of me? So, like I said, it seems to be a good relationship here. The kingdom seems to be a nice place where the king can have this kind of dialogue with his own soldiers. And sadly, as we see with all happy moments. There of course has to be tragedy afterwards, where a soldier comes up and he says, "I'm sorry to interrupt this moment, my lord, but the queen is in danger." And they, "Oh, the queen is in danger? This is terrible." And they're like, "Okay, she's at the opera house, and I guess the members of the Moulin family, they're heading to kidnap her as we speak." And he goes, "Well, call on the transponder snail. Make sure that she knows to be safe." And they said, "My lord, she's at the opera. They silenced their cell phones at the opera. Oh, how polite of them." So, yeah, the transponder snails are on silent, so the queen has no idea she's in danger. And Brooke tells him, Your Majesty, it's okay. If you're talking about the Moulin rogues, I'm pretty sure I know they've been dealt with. And yes, you did hear me right. The Moulin rogues. That's hilarious. But as they are worrying, as he's telling Brooke, "You have to go save her." And he goes, "My lord, it's okay. Boss, don't worry. I saw them while I was at the port, and honestly, I'm a little shocked that they made it as far as they did." It then cuts to the opera house. They've got them surrounded. They say, "Hey, Queen, we know you're in there. Get on out of there, or else we're going to start just taking out everyone, because the boss said we're allowed to. He wants to take you as his wife. We're going to kidnap the Queen." And it cuts back to Brooke, and he goes, "You see, when I saw them in the port, I already slashed them." And it cuts back to the Moulin rogues as the slices all happen and they all collapse at the same time, just as the queen is exiting the opera house. And everyone in the kingdom who is witnessing this, they go, "Oh, those guys just fell over. It's as if they didn't even know they've been cut." And they all say in unison, "It's the 3-pace hum notch slash!" Which is, of course, Brooke's signature technique, which I'm hoping this all ties back into a neat little bow. Whether it's against, whether it's against Somers or Killingham, or heck, maybe even Emu himself, I would like Brooke to finish off someone now. I know it looks like Zoro's going to fight Somers and Sanji is going to fight Killingham, but I want Brooke to finish someone else off with that technique, because that would just be really thematically cool. Anyways, as Brooke's technique finishes them off, we finally get a look at Queen Candel herself. I think it's pronounced Candel, but she is pretty. She's a pretty woman. I mean, yeah, it's One Piece. Most women are pretty in One Piece. Also, it's 70 years ago, so whether it's for tragic reasons or what happened to the kingdom, because I'm guessing it's probably Emu related, or just pure old age, the queen's probably not around anymore. But you can see why Brooke kind of had a thing for her, because apparently she was the former captain of the battle convoy, and now she's the queen. And Brooke is the member of the Raiders gang, or maybe the leader of them. So yeah, this is Asperia. This is Brooke's flashback. I updated my bingo card, so we are finally getting the Brooke flashback. I finally get the answer to a question I asked 18 years ago, which is wonderful because, yeah, that's, well, actually it was more 16 years ago. The chapter came out 2 years before I actually started reading One Piece, but regardless. Yeah, so the only two big things I have right here is, in my notes, it says update bingo card, done it. And the other one is keep an eye out, music puns incoming. So, yeah, I'm hoping this is a fun flashback, at least for the first half. We do know, unfortunately, that it does end in tragedy. Brooke did accuse Gunko of patricide, which means before Brooke's very eyes, Gunko, most likely controlled by Emu, is going to take out her own father. I'm hoping it's a traumatic experience that she herself does not remember, but now I'm really interested to see what Princess Shuri is going to do next. The other thing I wanted to point out, though, is the giant cube of ice that Gunko is currently in. Emu couldn't destroy it. Now, this is the same Emu blast that launched Zoro, the same Emu who kicked Sanji away like it's nothing, the same Emu who is duking it out with the giantest giant dragon that ever gianted. but he couldn't destroy the ice cube. Proving that it's what Loki said. Ragnir made the ice. Ragnir can get rid of the ice. Now we just need to figure out how to get Ragnir to get rid of the ice while still fighting Emu. But we won't have to worry about that. I would say, what is it? You know, now that I just realized it, my calendar is probably incorrect. I would say probably we're, ending May, so June, July, August. I'll say late August, early September, we'll probably finish this flashback. It probably won't be as long as the Rocks flashback was. But all the same, we're finally getting Brooks' flashback. Brooks, my mom's favorite member of the Straw Hat crew, because I'm gonna guess because of the Jack Skellington vibe. She also just likes his general appearance. He's very dapper in the pictures I've shown of him to her. So this is cool. I get to talk about Brooke with my mom, so that'll be fun. But as always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think is going to happen to cause the tragedy at the end of Brooks' backstory? Because we know it's going to be tragic. It's a Straw Hat crew member. It's a backstory, so not everybody makes it through the backstory. We know that. That's how flashbacks work in One Piece. But yeah, let me know how you think the twists and turns are going to come about as we head towards the story of Asperia, a kingdom that never was. Or should I say more accurately, never existed. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.